Welcome to Crowning Around, where every woman wears a crown, whether she's 17 or 70. I'm Joan Caliendo, and this is the space where magic happens when women empower women. Each week, we'll dig into topics like ageism, stepping into your power, and everything in between. And today, we're kicking it all off with a queen in her own right. Me, Ms. New York Senior America. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 22. Wonderful, wonderful evening tonight because I don't have one guest with me this evening. I have two guests with me, and we are going to have a wonderful evening, and I am calling it our Royal Exposure, and I will dive into why I'm calling it that this evening because I have with me two ladies that are about to launch something called the House of Brand. So let me start by saying I hope everyone survived the very wishy-washy weekend that was Memorial Day here in the Northeast. But of course, we can't go forward without remembering those who passed and never were able to celebrate and come home. So we remember them and we thank them, of course, for all of their sacrifices that allow us to live this wonderful life that we call the United States of America. And as we close out the month of May, right? And we're getting ready for celebrations in the month of June, which include weddings and graduations. And of course, Flag Day is coming up. Tonight's guests are all about being a dynamic duo that will create something that two queens together create a dynasty. And here we have them together for the first time. And they're promoting something. If Bobby, you could put up the first picture, called the House of Brand, and we will tap into both of their levels of expertise, which will showcase how young entrepreneurs can in fact benefit from the talents these two women have. So we're going to start by introducing the woman closest to me, whom I actually know very well from photo shoots, and we'll get into that as well. And her name is Miss Jackie Mihaley. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So excited to be
I'm
here.
excited that you're both here as well. Jackie comes to us as the CEO of Jackie Mihaley Photography, and she is responsible for the logo that is created behind me and that you see in the beginning of the show, which is the Crowning Around logo. And if you could put that up one more time, Bobby, that would be helpful because this was something that we thought of together. And I don't take myself that seriously since this is crowning around. My tiara is a little tilted. And she always met me with a glass of Prosecco and some fresh peonies. And, you know, that was the look that we were going for. And I think because she is so comfortable in her profession and able to speak to people so easily, that beautiful imagery came across. And it's also on my business cards. But of course, when I left the crown behind, I also had to take a farewell shot that was put on a journal. And the next image that Jackie photographed for me is my farewell as the Queen of 2024. And I know everyone thinks that's Photoshopped, and I know everyone thinks that's AI, but we literally were in Stony Brook in a little forest, Winnie the Pooh's forest, somewhere in Stony Brook. And, you know, with the high heels and everything going on. And it was a beautifully hot summer day. And that image is lasting for my legacy as the Queen of 2024. So that's just a little snippet of the beauty and the vision that Miss Jackie Mihaley brings to the table. She started in her own family business and then broke out to create her own. But what I wanted to say to her publicly and share with my viewers is that she really is the bearer of light. She is the bearer of light, of imagery, and of positivity. And anyone that's ever had to sit for a photo shoot, it can be very uncomfortable. It can be daunting. It can be, you know, you're really exposing yourself in a way that maybe you don't feel comfortable. And she takes all of that away and just really works with you in a beautiful manner. And that is the gift that she brings to the table today. And we're going to obviously speak about that as we go forward with the program. Yes, I mean that sincerely. My new friend is Miss Sarah, who comes to us from the UK. I can't wait for you all to hear her speak. She is the publisher and the founder of a magazine, which we have visually on the table, called Intentional Living. I love that title. And she is devoted to empowering other entrepreneurs and creatives and women in business. And we do have a short video of her launch that we're trying to see if Bobby is able to show us at this
We're
time.
still working on it, unfortunately.
Okay, so we'll show it at another time in the program. But we welcome Miss Sarah, and we're going to talk about. Oh, there's the crowd.
That's amazing. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. She flew in this morning just to be from Wales. I was building an ark and she was coming in from Wales. So I wanted to say this about the two of you together. So this is the concept that we're going to shed some light on this evening. From branding strategies to powerful platforms, both Sarah and Jackie are helping women in business to elevate their presence, amplify their expertise, and to build brands that truly reflect the level of their work. Not an easy task, but putting these two women together, chef's kiss. So we start with the Queen's Court, which I know Sarah's going to love all these regal references because she's missing the UK. Yeah. So we start with Miss Jackie in the Queen's Court, and this is where you guys get to talk, and it's very comfortable. I want you to get to know each of them individually and then together how they're going to promote your business. So Jackie, your goal through imagery has been to help others to create an image that will further their business. Right. But your mantra, I love this, is to be foolishly optimistic. And that just brings back thoughts of being a child and just open ideas and thoughts and no one judging you. But it is also something that you promoted in an article that Sarah's magazine was able to publish called, again, love this, Unbecoming to Become. Can you please explain these things to us?
Yes.
Please.
And I would say the mantra came after the unbecoming.
Okay.
So I got to a point in my life where started evaluating who I was.
Okay.
And realized that I had become a lot of things that really weren't organic to me.
Okay.
Taking on roles that maybe really weren't me, wearing a shoe that just wasn't the right fit.
Now, is this pre-marriage and children or after?
I would say this is for my entire adult life, I would say. I think we start at a young age taking on these presumed roles or beliefs, labels. Yeah. And we start building and putting them on more and more. And then at a certain point, you start looking at your life and you realize that maybe that's not actually how I feel or what I want to be doing.
It's called growth.
Yeah.
And reflection.
So these, right? and some of them are things that you've become, like I became very, like a people pleaser. I became a people pleaser. And I didn't want to be that anymore.
Interesting.
And I felt like when I would talk to somebody, maybe I was telling them what they wanted to hear.
Interesting.
Rather than just being true to myself.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. We have to stop right here for 1 second, because if I had the time to say in the 22 episodes that I've had, the majority of my guests have been women. Most of them have said the same thing, that there are times where we have been taught or society has guided us to become people pleasers. And I have to say this, in your profession, you almost have to be, to a point, you are stunning. Backing up the lens, putting Vaseline on it to soften some of the edges. But, you're selling the person's comfort, right? So that you get the image that they're hoping and you're hoping to achieve. So coming to that realization must have been difficult, combining that with your business choice.
It kind of came before the launch of the business.
Interesting.
So it came it was a pivotal moment. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm unbecoming. And it was a little bit of a shock. It was jarring, but it is jarring. It's like you realize that this isn't going to be easy to unbecome all those things you had become. And so
good.
Before I could actually launch this business, I had to shed all of those things that were holding me back, the anxiety, the negativity. I had become these things. and I needed to unbecome them if I wanted to be successful in this business. So that was sort of step one, was taking off these things that were weighing me down and weren't really me.
Right.
And then once I had gotten to that point, then I could become optimistic. And that's when I said, you know, I'm just going to take off this negativity or this insecurity. It was more of an insecurity. And I'm just going to try what it feels like to be foolishly optimistic.
Foolishly optimistic, which you could really say is to be your authentic self.
Yes.
I was going to say, you could become Jackie Mihaley.
Jackie Mihaley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is exhausting when you're trying to be someone that you're not.
Were you brought up that way?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think there were certain norms and certain roles that, they culturally were passed down of what I should be, what my life should look like. But I think a lot of it, as women, we do put on this expectation of what we need to be, how we need to be. And really the people pleasing, I think that was a big thing for me to really let go of that.
I love that. I don't know that I've grown as much as you. I think when you hit a certain age, I'm older than both of you, that's when you say, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then you almost get a hall pass because you're of a certain age and people say, because I work with 70 and 80-year-olds now, oh, my seasoned steppers love you to pieces. But they tell me all the time, like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, I'm at this point where I don't need to make you happy to make myself feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. So you shed some of the armor and the labels.
Right.
And okay.
And really figured out who I was. And then that led into what's my brand.
Right.
And my brand is really about being your authentic self. So that is what I want to come out in the photos that I take, is that person is, they're authentic.
They're authentic.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of therapy? Was this a fortune to get to this? Because there are therapists right now going, keep saying that.
Yeah.
Because that's a wonderful way to shed things.
Yeah.
And it also takes your family and the support of friends, right?
Yeah.
That believe in you and understand what you're saying. You know, you have to surround yourself with a
Definitely.
village.
Yes. And
that
my family, my husband, and my kids,
and your kids
they
with
were
what you're
the
saying.
biggest cheerleaders and
That I love.
wanted this to happen.
I love
for
that.
me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's Miss Jackie, who is unbecoming to become. You have to buy into that concept, and I just love that. But being foolishly optimistic, why shouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you be?
Mhm.
So now we move over to Miss Sarah. Sarah,
Hi.
hi.
Not to interrupt, but we do have Sarah's video.
Oh,
ready.
let's do that. Okay,
excited.
good. So we can watch this first, and on the other side have a conversation. Fantastic.
Welcome
Welcome to the summer launch party for Intentional Living magazine.
Celle-là jusque sous nos fenêtres, cylindres garnis qui nous servent de nid, ne payez pas de mine. C'est là qu'on s'est connus, moi qui criais famille et toi qui posais nu. La bohème, ça voulait dire qu'on est heureux. La bohème, nous ne demandions qu'un jour sur deux. La je vous parle d'un temps que les
I love that video. The whole aesthetic. I could watch that over and over again. The pouring of the champagne, the flowers, the British rose garden. Everyone looks lovely. Was that in Manhattan?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I just love, and the music,
It was just
whatever you did for that, keep doing that. That was fantastic.
well, the whole tagline of the magazine is "Read it, love it, live it."
Read it, love it, live it. Love that.
Yes. And bringing it to life. So it's not just about reading the words on the page, but it's about evoking your feelings, senses, and emotions
Well done.
and bringing it into life.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's the kind of party I would like to be at.
You're at the party. Don't you worry.
When I
You
walk
are the
in,
party.
I am the party, but for other reasons. So let me get to the magazine and some of the concepts. Every time I went back to look and do a little research on intentional living, it just brought me back to the same concept. People who want to live lives of intention, which we all try to do, right? Right? We want to do that. There's got to be some similarities and some crossovers of ways in which people can do that, or that you encourage them to do that. So I thought if we narrowed it down to perhaps 3, our audience could, enjoy that.
Yeah, I'd love to share because of living it myself. That's what was the first essence of it, of wanting to become a lifelong learner.
Oh, I love that.
Because I came here 8 years ago from the UK to the US, and we started from zero. Like there was you arrive here, you can't get a bank account, you can't get credit. Or
Is your
anything.
husband British as well?
My husband's British, so we had 4 weeks notice to move from the UK to the US.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So when Jackie's saying about the unbecoming, we had to live this unbecoming of everything that we knew back in the UK to now move here and have the culture shock of being in New York, where it's harder, faster. It's like
What?
Yeah.
Did you live outside of London at all?
No, we were in the countryside.
Okay.
So it was a shock, and that's why I'm thinking about when you're talking about unbecoming, but also the expectation of like what everybody expected the life that we were going to live, but we didn't. And it was learning. It was learning to unbecome. It was learning to find your purpose. Because when you get here, my visa meant that I couldn't be a female founder or an entrepreneur. I could just be my husband's wife or go and get a job. And I've been self-employed for the past 15 years. So it didn't feel, when you say the shoe didn't fit, it felt like the clothes didn't fit, the shoes didn't fit. And so it was this learning of really learning of what could bring the joy back, or how could we learn to find community and kindness and all of those elements of it. And then the next one I would say is what matters most.
What matters most
of this.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. Of really finding of what do you need. And in most cases, it was the simplicity of finding friendship, of finding community, of finding a space where you felt seen and you felt heard.
And safe.
So, and that was one of the key
New
elements.
York. Yes. I'm sure you were worried about
Yes.
You weren't going to Nebraska. You were coming to New York.
Well, there's a funny story about
Tell
New York.
me.
The best story came out of New York because
Tell
it's
me.
actually where I met Jackie. So we actually lived 3 minutes away from each other.
In Stony Brook.
In Stony Brook. And we were both at a conference in Manhattan.
Okay.
And I saw these beautiful images and I was like, who took those pictures? And so I hunted her down and I said, like, where are you from? And she went, oh, I'm not from around here. I'm like, no, neither am I.
It was
you
meant
guess.
to be.
Yeah. And we found out, and then ever since, Jackie's photography is featured throughout the magazine. You saw her in the video there.
Nobody
it's
better.
like we've been like the left and right arms of each other. And so I think the next part of it is community. The 3 elements of it is finding a community that you do feel safe, that you can walk in the room and you feel the energy when you walk in.
Yes.
It's magic when you get the right people around the table. And I think that's what we're finding now when we've come together is the right people coming. And you can create magic because you open up, you're open to suggestions, you don't feel so defensive. You know, it really changes the game when you know it's coming from good intention. And I think that's why this word intention is at the heart of what we do within the magazine what we're going to be doing with House of Brand as well.
Oh my God. Okay. So good. I hope you're all soaking this in because first of all, I heard words that we need to hear much more. Kindness. Did you hear that, everybody? Kindness, right? We're living in New York and these ladies are bringing forth the kindness. Okay. That's number 1. 2, what matters? really, really what matters at the end of the day. It's not your lip liner. It's not your hair extensions. It's not the plastic surgeon. We talked about this before when we got on the air. It's really what matters to you at your core, at your authentic self. And then the last thing I'm hearing, which I love, is the community that you surround yourself with, right? Because you cannot be around naysayers or people that are dream crushers when you're building and looking for confidence. And this is not a female thing. This has nothing to do with being a woman. And I know that we say things like, oh, I would have just been my husband's wife. It's, first of all, that's not a just, right? You're creating a power broker couple here in the United States. And there's a reason why you came here and you made the leap with him.
Yes.
Okay. So that we have to stop saying things like that. I'm not schooling you. I'm just saying we're all guilty of that. We say things like that. I hear people pleaser. Every woman I've had on the show has said the same thing. So our language needs to change. And those three things are across the board commonalities for people who are developing a brand that talks about positivity and kindness and community matter. What matters? Okay. I love that. So far, so good. So now here's how we're going to feed off of each other. I had a conversation with the ladies before we went on air regarding if somebody comes in and they're trying to build a brand or refresh or revitalize or renew a brand. And they have a set idea of what they want and how they want to be perceived and what they think will be magic for their or brand. But your perhaps visions are slightly different. These ladies have created a formula that will allow them to really get to know the people that they're working with. And I think it's important for you to understand the research and the homework they're doing behind the scenes before they, venture into what your brand should look like. So please explain that to us.
Yeah. So I think we start with discovery because it's really great that you come with an idea and a vision.
Yes.
And we're trying to say that it's a little bit like a fingerprint. Like everybody is unique and our strengths are unique as well. So one of the things that we've brought to our signature system is that we find out your signature 7 strengths. Seven. There's 7 strengths that you have, and it can be results focused. It could be compassion. It could be empathy. And so we draw these strengths out of how you like to work. So although it's like a corporate personality profiling, it's still really relevant for the business environment.
Absolutely.
Because that then tells us something really significant of where we can help you and where you're best focusing your energy. It comes back again to what matters the most. So we dive much deeper into the discovery of the true essence of the person. So
these are questions that you ask people to fill out in a form, like a survey. And no judgment. This is how you feel. Do you do colors? Like you're moving more towards the red or the yellow corporate?
No,
people do that a lot now. You're more in the blues, Okay. No, you don't do the colors. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get almost like a profile of the person's talents, individuality, likes, dislikes, the way in which they try to achieve goals. And then you have all this information. What do you do next?
Well, after that, we spend so much time with our clients because we really want to get to know them. And so many times we have spent hours in our studio with our clients, and it's at the very end of the day that we will learn this piece about them that is so important. And it's if we had done just this quick meeting, an hour meeting, we would never have found that out.
So true.
And that's where we really are able to see where someone wants to go, what's really important to them. It does seem like it comes out towards the end of the conversation a lot for us, right?
It does. And the other thing that happens is we like to do things differently. So it's really about getting to know the person because we feel like it's a long-term relationship. It's not just a one-day thing and done.
Agreed.
So a lot of the information that we actually get is probably over a glass of Prosecco and a lunch.
Nothing wrong with that.
And because we want to create the environment where you feel safe to share. Of like, what are your real dreams and aspirations that you might have been scared to share until this point?
Right.
And we always say that like Jackie's on one side and I'm on the other side and we're linking those arms with you. And now it can just be all put out into the world. And how are we going to do it? And how can we all combine our strengths
Mhm.
to get this legacy project out there.
So interesting. So here's my question. So someone comes into the room that you don't know, and you're going to go through this process, and you're going to delve deep, and you try to peel all the onion layers back and really get to the core, which maybe they don't even know themselves, right? And that's part of the process. And it's human nature. Do you have a preconceived notion when they walk in, and then it's, wow, look what happened here?
I think so.
I think so as
Yeah.
well.
It's human nature.
Yeah, but also, this without sounding very strange, but we do our research
Ahead of time.
and we go stalking,
Right.
like every
You're trolling. You're
we-
trolling.
We're spying actually
Yes.
because we just want our own thoughts and ideas of what we think we're going to be presented with, and often it's very different.
Right.
And we'll go and search on LinkedIn, we'll go on TikTok, we'll go on Instagram, we'll go into all of these places and say, where's your outlet? What do you want that to be? And then if they tell us something that's very different, we're able to give a different perspective from a new person looking at who they don't know them and they don't know what's putting out there. So it's really worth going that extra layer deep to be able to come back with some really knowledgeable. Yeah.
It's so interesting in the world we live in that people put out so much of themselves on social media. And of course, you know, people will say most of that's fake. But if you're branding something, you're trying to promote an image. And I think you two have to do that investigation that maybe this look that you're portraying is not really congruent with what your profile is saying you want to be. And that's a hard thing to say to someone, but that's really important, right?
Yes. It's a very important piece that what their personality is aligning with what their brand is.
Right.
And the image that we did for your podcast is a perfect example.
It's me.
It's you. It's fun.
It's
so
fun.
People know.
Fun.
when
Nothing but
they
fun.
see- but it's classy.
Yes.
It's smart. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
But that was you. That was that's your personality. You're not a very
stuffy
person.
The queen.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not me. It was hard for me to be the queen because I had to really be.
But you bring the fun to it.
I bring the
do.
fun. Thus the
Yes.
title.
Yes.
Come on, guys. This is what it's all about. But,
Yes.
you know, this is another thing I have to say about you. When I came in, I had this idea. You ran with it. I said, I don't want the crown on straight. I want it tilted. I want my feet up. You were like, that's great. I think that's exactly what, there was no pushback. And she didn't do a deep dive into who I was. She knew me from seeing me at fashion shows and stuff like that. And I was always being my silly self.
Yes.
Or not taking myself so seriously. And I loved that you allowed me to be me. And that's what I'm saying about the both of you, because that is hard sometimes when people are, I don't want to say promoting falsehoods, but are taught to promote something that they think the public will fall in love with. And really, that's not who they are.
And it's so hard to keep that up.
That is very
so
hard to
that
keep up.
So
Very, very, very hard to keep up. I see, because I look at Brooke Shields, and you both know who that is. Yes. Okay. So, you know, she obviously the most beautiful young girl that we all saw growing up. And that's hard to maintain when you turn 60. But she hasn't, and not that there's anything wrong with plastic surgery. I am not saying that. God bless if you feel good about that. But she said it over and over again. I have to stop being a people pleaser. I can't be the girl in the Calvin Klein commercial any longer. I'm a grown woman, very tall, and with young women, she has 2 daughters, that I'm trying to shape them to not be so superficial. Maybe that's the word. In a world where everything is blurred and everything is a soft lens, maybe that's not really what you need to see if you're promoting a specific product that maybe is of a certain age bracket, right? I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah. And also what you're saying there as well of when people come in and how Jackie makes people feel, or how we deliver what we want to offer somebody, is that it's coming from a place, from our perspective, that we have nothing to prove.
Oh, I love that.
So
there's no gain here unless you feel comfortable.
Yes.
The person who's your client.
Yes. And I think that we shine when you shine. So that's the that's the comfort zone that coming in, that we say keeping up with the Joneses. We're not in any competition with anybody. We're just doing what we do in our own way, from a place where we want to see you shine bright. But we don't just want to see you shine bright on the surface.
Yes.
We want we want substance. We want
Substance.
knowledge, wisdom, legacy,
Love
thought
that.
leadership, all of the stuff. So how can we do that? And that's where the strategy comes in.
Love it. Tell us more.
Yeah.
The strategy to promote someone. So you're the visual artistic aspect of.
I wouldn't say that, because Sarah, she's also a photographer, but
Okay.
just her visual eye is amazing. And so I would say that you're more of the visual person in a lot of ways than I am, because you're designing all of these beautiful platforms, magazines,
That
books.
commercial, or that
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah,
video.
I
That
think-
aesthetic was phenomenal.
But I think that is when you're with the right people.
Okay.
So it's a joint thing. I
Yeah.
feel it's a team effort.
But you have
because
that eye.
if there's
is
an
what
eye,
you're saying.
For the photography, I do feel that, I can see where someone's going to look best, what the best lighting is.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it is making them feel comfortable, because
Yes.
if they're not comfortable, those smiles are going to look hard and
Ah.
forced. So that is a lot of it. And yes, the Prosecco helps.
Yeah.
But but I think a lot of what we are doing is now we're able to give somebody the full package. So
Yes.
instead of just walking away with just images, we're able to actually take those images and put an engine behind it, so
Put
that
an
it's
engine
actually
behind
they're really working for you. And we're not just giving somebody part of getting them part of the way there. We're
Right.
able to get them all of the way there now, because we're working together on both sides of the puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is a continued relationship that
Yes.
you have with your clients. It's
Yeah.
not a one and done. We do a book cover or we do a launch
Yeah.
at an event, right? This is a continual
Yeah. And I think
clientele that you get to know and love and respect.
it
and-
is.
Okay.
And with this as well, it's like many people, they come and they want to be featured in the magazine. There's
Of course.
a great example of, like, everybody wants to have their 4-page spread of
Sure.
what they do. It looks amazing and it's fabulous. But the one thing that we say is, like, what's the purpose? Like, where does that go? When what's the customer or reader journey that once
Yes.
they've read that, what have you got next? Have you got a book? Have you got an experience that you can
Right.
offer somebody? And that's where we step in. So it's not just then about the article, or it's not just about publishing a book. It's like, what relationship can you nurture with a potential client or a reader or a new community member
Yes.
that goes for a longer term relationship?
Longevity.
And that's why there's no date on the magazine. That's why we do with the books. That's why we work together with the photography. Is like, lots of people have photos taken and then they don't put them out there. They love them, but then they get self-conscious about sharing them or utilizing them with some strategy behind it.
Right.
So
So we debated which magazine we were going to put on the table, and chose this one because the blue was more beautiful. But the other cover was Naomi Watts, a very, very famous actress.
Yeah.
She's Australian, is she not? Is
There
she
you go.
Australian?
Show that.
I think she is
She is,
Australian,
yeah.
right? What was she intentionally living about?
So if for any viewers that are watching this, we've got on the cover, and just a description for anyone listening, she is wearing a multicolored striped top.
Okay.
And so you know her for being this Hollywood superstar, an
Yes.
A-lister, and she went through early menopause. And so as part of that,
I've
she
seen her
actually
speak on that.
Yeah, and she's off the back of that, she's created an incredible beauty brand with products, and
Lovely.
and she's called it Stripes Beauty. And the aim of it is that she said everybody has earned their stripes.
Wonderful.
So that was the vision behind it. So I wanted to do the article about her earning her stripes, not talking about, beyond the red carpet. Like,
Absolutely.
what does that mean? And yes, there's products in there, but the story behind it is that there was a deeper going through body changes,
Right.
going through having to try and read lines in a movie and not be able to read them because her vision had gone blurred with all and suffering those symptoms.
We've all been there.
Yes. but that's what unites us. And I think we had that. And then in the same issue, we've got Bobby Brown, the beauty icon.
Not Whitney Houston's husband.
Not Whitney.
I wouldn't expect him to be in your magazine.
Never.
Oh, I know Bobby Brown. Yes, beautiful cosmetics.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so she's stepped away from, obviously, a long time ago for her deal with Estee Lauder. And she's launched a book that says Still Bobby. And she's still launching businesses, and she's in her late 60s. And that story of like, you can have reinvention at any time of life. And that's the aim. And one of the ladies was featured in between a friend, and she's a therapist. And so she's just been doing her job for the past 30 years. And she was sandwiched between the both of them. And she opened the article and she cried because she was like, I cannot believe I'm between Naomi Watts and Bobby Brown. And Jackie had taken the photograph of her. And I was like, why do you feel like that? Because you have the same wisdom, the same expertise, the same outlook. It just means that they have a job in front of a camera and you have a
different
job in
platform.
Yes. And you're in a therapy. You're booked out for the past 30 years.
Right.
You were the same.
Doing a greater good.
One of the same.
Doing amazing
We're
work.
all doing amazing work.
Right.
And I think that's our point, is that we all deserve a platform to shine and share. And just because different people do different jobs, that doesn't make us any less equal than the next woman. Yeah.
Okay, so now that I know that about Naomi Watts, I've seen her speak on menopause. I've seen her on talk shows talking about that. But when you run the circuit for the Crown, you go to all of these beautiful events, and everyone wants to talk about menopause now. Whereas, again, I'm older. Your mom's generation. Somebody always had a fan. Somebody was always hot, but nobody dared to say anything. Little mood swing. All right, that's what's happening. But now everyone talks about it. So I was at a function. It was May's function, the Women's Summit, and all the speakers tapped into menopause. And somebody said to me, "How are you?" And I said, "I was great until I found out my pelvic floor is falling apart." I wasn't worried about that when I walked in here today. I thought I was going to get some beauty samples and some jewelry, and now I'm worried about my pelvic floor, and it's a problem.
All the things that can go wrong.
All the things that could go wrong. Driving home, I was very concerned. But okay. So, but I love that we're being open and we're being real and we're being authentic. And I think it's time for us to take a little commercial break. But you know what? My producer just walked away, so we're not going to do that. We're going to roll right to the next thing, because that's what we do, ladies. We are jugglers. We're able to do that. Right. Okay, so we're at the point of the show called the Tiara Tip of the Week. And because I have two guests tonight, I thought that we would have some fun with this. This is not just about visuals, and I'm sure that you've understood what these ladies are saying, how deeply they dive into structure and personality and performance and positivity, which I love, and community and self. But there are some marketing points that you also have to think of when you're trying to create a brand that's going to have some legs, right? Some longevity, which is what we spoke of earlier. So what do you think about social media profiles when it comes to continuing the brand that you two have, done all the research for and created something beautiful, and the aesthetic is wonderful? Now, you can't control social media. No. President of the United States. You cannot control social media. So what do you say to them in regards to that?
I think for social media, they have to really think about the message that they're putting out there. And everything that they're posting has to come back to what is it that they want their listeners to know? Yeah. And what they're saying, what they're showing, what they're doing, does that align with that? And if it doesn't, maybe it's confusing their audience.
Yes. But of course, people want to do what they want to do. Do you have to have that conversation with them?
At some points, yes. Yeah. Because what tends to happen is people get very excited.
Of course.
And it's like, I've got to do this, and I'm going to get this out there right now.
I want to show everybody everything.
Yeah. And I think that's our job, is to hopefully give them some kind of insight to what content they should be sharing
Some
or talk
guidelines,
about.
right?
Yes.
Some guidelines, some
behind it,
strategies.
Yeah. So then so then it feels easier to, instead of having show up spikes, like yes, you're present, and then no, you've hidden away. Actually, is there something that then it becomes like your routine? It becomes a ritual that
Love
actually instead of just being one and done, it being like you're doing a talk series, or you're doing something that allows you to show up and you know what you're talking about when you're talking about it. So there's some structure and
there's some
systems.
structure, guidelines, parameters, all the things that we all need, all of us need. So again, the ladies and I were having a conversation about this before we went on air. And I said, when I promote the show, I go on LinkedIn, Facebook is where I live, Instagram, I'm not so good at, but I do it because gets a lot of attention. And I said to my daughter, I'm going to put this on TikTok. She said, oh no, you're not a TikToker. And I thought very, very strongly about that. And I went on TikTok for a few minutes. She's right.
Yeah.
That's mind numbing.
No.
It's just a different crowd,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But sarcastically, my former students see me on TikTok and I get huge amounts of conversation because they're like, she's on TikTok, but I'm not dancing.
Yeah.
I'm promoting. So maybe.
Well, I think
time.
one of the things that we really try to stress is that you don't have to be on social media 5 times a week. If that is really causing you anxiety, there's other ways to market your business. And so that is part of the reason why we do this deep conversation with these people that we're working with, so that we can figure out where they're comfortable, where they're aligning, because then they will do it more.
Right.
There's so many other ways to put yourself out there than just.
I agree. But when, this world is, you're an influencer. Okay. I didn't even know that was a career.
Certain industries, they have to be on there
constantly.
All the time.
Yeah.
But it's not the only way. And
it's
we do other marketing that is not just the social media.
Right.
So the intimate.
And I think that's also something that we like to say. It's like we like to zig whilst everyone else is zagging.
Oh.
And how we do that is that we bring back traditional marketing, like what used to work, like what used to really work.
And what would you say is that?
So we actually produce really nice brochures and leaflets and
brochures
and brochures and invitations and intimate
I
events.
love that.
So you saw the event that we did. Every person had a hand.
Come on, that's wonderful.
Invitation.
That's wonderful
because it creates the feeling and being special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the aim, and that's what we want to create for people. And it can be in person, or it can be printed, or it can be just being in the room, like creating your own event that you can hand a selection people.
Love that. The personal touch works.
I mean, you are an amazing podcaster. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
You found
1 year in. We'll see the longevity.
You're so comfortable.
I am comfortable talking to people, and I'm thoroughly interested.
Yeah. That's the right fit.
That's the right fit. Yes.
And that's what we try to do, is find out what's the right fit.
Yeah.
Not doing something just because everyone else is doing that. Let's find out what works for you.
I love that how you said that, because some of our clients have actually called us the business matchmakers. Because whether it's either connecting somebody there where they can have a collaboration or a partnership, or it's actually sourcing the right outlet for them to be able 100%. To do it in their way. Because as somebody, I don't particularly like social media, but I love this.
Yeah.
And so the more that you know your human design of where you shine and where you can have a conversation like this, where you're not watching your words.
Right.
Confidence comes out. And that the more that you can be confident, and I'm sure that that's an area of specialism with everything that you've done. If you can walk in the room and create magic, everyone's left looking and wondering how they can continue a conversation with you.
I agree 100%.
And it's also one of the things we say, when you're working in what's best for you, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's
natural.
Can be fun.
And it encourages other people to want to be a part of that. So when you said the thing about the handwritten, I thought of something I saw beautifully this weekend. They're called the Arlington Ladies, Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, just outside of Washington. And the ladies there write letters to the mothers who have lost sons. over Memorial Day.
Wow.
Handwritten.
So special. Yeah.
That it just makes
Yeah.
everything, nothing is going to ever be better.
No.
But that note
To get that
is
note.
But doesn't everybody want to feel like somebody's thinking of them in
right.
some
You took
way?
the time.
The care.
You took the time.
Somebody cares.
Beautiful thing. Okay, here's my next thing, content strategy. How do you both promote content strategy for a client that maybe doesn't have the perfect focus for where they want to go? But how do you align that for them?
Well, I think finding that focus is the first thing that
That's the
we
first step.
establish is what is the line that we're taking here. And that has to happen before anything else
Agree.
happens.
Okay. That's
And I also think you want to be on it. What's your soapbox? So
right.
what could you get up every day
and talk
and have a
about
conversation about?
myself.
But that's your experiences.
Yeah, well, I have great experiences.
That's
I don't mean
wisdom.
about me being
No,
wonderful. I have funny
I
stories.
think
I have
that's a great
things.
response. I think
Okay,
that's
thank you.
Yeah, I think that's
And
awesome.
I love that you know that about
I
yourself.
do.
Yeah.
I do. It took a long time, but I'm here.
Yes.
Okay, how about websites? What do you think about that? What kind of merit does that hold in a brand?
I think it's very important.
Okay.
So when we do like a full solution, and that has to form part of what we do. But we're not talking about a 20-page website.
Right. No.
We're talking a signpost of where do you want to direct people when they come to visit you. So I really want to sort of like change the terminology of what a website is. How can that be the information that is always there for you?
Love that.
And then what we do behind the scenes is a little bit of our secret sauce is like, how can you bring some video into this? How can you put a personal message to this?
Yes.
So we do this thing called a video personal message. And so when we follow up with our clients, we'll record a video of us saying, it was so great to meet you. And it's
That's
like
a human touch.
personal touch in every place. And I think that if you can find your own way of putting a personal touch to
I
it.
agree with you, ladies, 100%. And the last thing is community presence. How do you keep people knowing the brand?
So we do a thing. Shall I share a little secret?
Please.
So we have.
No one's really watching.
So we.
I don't know.
It's a bit of a celebration now that we do. We say Opa, and so
like the Greeks.
Yeah, but it's Opa is other people's audience. It's like look what we're doing here.
Yes.
So wherever you are, if you're in good community and it's aligned, and you come into our audience and we go into yours, it's like a spider's web.
True.
That spreads, and so I'm really hooked on Substack at the moment of finding an outlet of live interviews and articles, and there's a whole community out there. So don't discount new ways of being able to communicate with new people.
I love it. You guys have it all very, very well polished up. So this was wonderful. And if you don't get the idea that these are genuinely kind, wonderful, beautiful light bearers, these are the people you want to be involved with branding, because this is genuine, this is real, and this is thought-provoking and human and kind and all of the things that you heard them say. We didn't even need to take a commercial break because it was just a wonderful experience to talk to these ladies. So I thank both Jackie and Sarah for coming in this evening. And I am very proud of both of you, and I know that this is going to be a gigantic success. And I hope that you all understand the work that goes into this is just phenomenal. So I'm going to close with my royal invitation, which is in 2 weeks. So we're going to get into the month of June. And on June the 9th, I will be hosting another dear friend of mine. There he is, Mr. Ralph Capozzi, who is probably most known in Nassau County for his coaching abilities. That's him at the Nassau County Hall of Fame dinner that I was at to watch him receive an award, primarily for football, but he was also the baseball coach as well as the bowling coach in his 37 years as an educator. He is a phenomenal human being, a humanitarian beyond measure. But what I said to him is, I don't want to talk about the sports, because we talk every week about my son in Italy playing football, and we talk constantly about sports. But what I want people to know about him is that he is a person who is responsible for generous gifts across Nassau County. I was very, very fortunate to come into the school district where he had created a committee for the Super Dance, which gave wishes to over 100 children in Nassau County for the Make-A-Wish program. And in our very, very small school district, we were able to raise over $500,000 to fulfill the wishes specifically for children in Nassau County. Yeah, and we were able to go to very, very fancy dinners. We met President Trump long before he was President Trump, because his wife at the time, Marla Maples, was the chair for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And people were always astonished how a little school district was able to sit with, Mobil and Exxon at the dinner tables. I also want you to understand that his son's charity and scholarship program, his son Michael, who has passed, over the last 33 years has been able to give over 37 students assistance with college tuitions. But what you don't know about him is the fact that this very macho man was an art teacher for 37 years. And he redesigned the whole high school through murals and mosaics and continues to teach adult education in the town of Hempstead to seniors who just love his watercolors. So we're going to really tap into the sensitive side of a giving, community, loving, wonderful human being. And so that will be the focus of our conversation on June the 9th. So I want you all to enjoy the week. Get ready for June. Enjoy the sunshine. And of course, go Knicks. Can't leave that out. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
And I'll see you all on June the 9th. Have a good evening.